So some reporters sparred with the White House press secretary. I still don't know how to say her name, and I probably should. Kayleigh McEnany? I don't know how to say it, but anyway, they sparred with her. This is on the issue of churches opening up at this point in the pandemic. Let's see how that went.
The president said he's going to override the governors. Under what authority would he do that? And to your point, he said several weeks ago, this is all up to the governors.
Well, I think you're posing a hypothetical, and I think we can all hope that we see governors.
He would override the governors. You're
posing a hypothetical, though. You're assuming that governors are going to keep churches shut down and keep mosques shut down and keep synagogues shut down. That is a hypothetical question, and we will leave it to these faith communities to reopen.
And said if governors don't
we'll
listen
leave it to faith communities to reopen.
And
Kristen, I think we can all hope that this Sunday people are allowed to pray to their gods across this country. That's a good thing. And I'd also note there's detailed guidance in here about the way that you can clean your facilities, promote social distancing. So this is something that we should all look at and be thankful that we are encouraging these faith communities to reopen and do so in a safe way. And we'll leave it to parishes to open in a safe fashion.
What authority is the president referencing?
Does the White House now support these churches that are defying governor's orders and opening up?
The president's been very clear. He wants churches to reopen. He wants them to do it safely. He wants them to do it in accordance with our guidance. It's laid out very detailed. It's posted now, so you can all take a look through it. And he wants to see all of those churches open in a safe fashion.
If the governor does not allow that, does the White House support churches defying these executive orders?
The president's been very clear. He wants to see churches reopen in accordance with his guidelines.
So the answer is yes?
I just gave you an answer. The president would like churches to reopen and do it in accordance with the guidelines.
What specific provision of federal law allows the president to override a governor's
The president will
decision?
strongly encourage every governor to allow their churches to reopen. And boy, it's interesting to be in a room that desperately wants to seem to see these churches and houses of worship stay closed.
The president said that he has that.
Kayleigh, I object to that. I mean, I go to church. I'm dying to go back to church. The question that we're asking you and would like to have asked the president and Dr. Birx is it safe? And if it's not safe, is the president trying to encourage that, or does the president agree with Dr. Birx that people should wait?
Jeff, it is safe to reopen your churches if you do so in accordance with the guidelines, which are laid out very stringent detail here about promoting hygiene practices, and there are 5 bullet points, and cloth face coverings. If social distancing is not possible, it's recommended. Intensifying cleanings, promoting social distance, we lay them out meticulously. So I am thankful that we have a president that celebrates the First Amendment. The same amendment that gives you all the ability to ask me questions is there to have the freedom of worship. So imams and pastors can go to their churches, can go to their places of worship, and can celebrate what is a First Amendment right in this country, which is to pray to your God and to practice your faith.
And we celebrate that too. I just want to follow up by saying we celebrate that too.
And so we
Certainly
should be
the First
thankful that there are
Amendment
guidelines
part.
to allow us to re-engage in that behavior.
We're not asking you if the president or people are allowing Americans to pray. That's not the
to
question.
gather
that
in
people
their
are
places
asking
of worship, to attend church services, to pray together. And the president has laid out a clear path. The CDC has laid out a clear path for this to take place, for our First Amendment to be exercised in a way that is safe and robust.
All right, so this back and forth actually perfectly shows why I hate everybody. Why I hate the current political situation. So I think she's full of it, and I'll break that down in a little bit. Like the points she made, they're just stupid. But then also I think the media sucks too, and they think they're being like super adversarial, but like the questions they're asking are just dumb. So all right, let's go through this. Trump wants to reopen churches. There are some states that are like, no, that's not safe yet. We're going to keep them shut down. So now there's this debate and this commentary going on as to who really has the authority. Can Trump override the states? Can he tell them to open up? And, you know, what's the right thing to do? Well, first of all, let me just say, is it safe to go back in churches at this point in time? It's really not. You have coronavirus cases going up in more states than they're going down. The prime place where the coronavirus spreads is in close quarters with a lot of people. That's like exactly what happens in places of worship. So And that's why it was really controversial about like hairdressers too and barbers, because again, a bunch of people in close quarters. So they're just like the least safe of all the possible options. I've seen evidence that it's very difficult for coronavirus to spread outside. Okay, great. So, be reasonable, wear a mask when you can and socially distance, but you can go outside. You can open all the things that are outside. I think that's fair to say. And you could open select things if you're safe about it indoors. But really, when you talk about like churches, it's kind of like tailor-made as the worst possible places to open in the midst of a pandemic. And we're just not, like, we have 100,000 people dead, millions of cases going up in more states than it's going down. It's just not a good idea to open it. But that doesn't mean the questions are good. So let's run through it. She says, one of the questions is, under what authority can the president override the governors? That's one of the questions that the media keeps asking. I mean, this is like politics 101. It's called the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. And the idea of the Supremacy Clause is that the Constitution and federal law overrides state law. So does Trump have the authority to override the governors and say, no, the churches can open? Actually, he does. And that would be, if that went to a court, that would be settled very quickly, where the judges would say, yeah, this isn't a question. But funny enough, Trump is actually going against conservative ideology here. Because conservative ideology, to the extent they actually believe it, is states' rights should supersede the federal government. And so the idea would be, let the states make their own mind up. And if the states determine, hey, it's not safe yet, well, the conservative thing to do would be to say, I'll take a step back and let the states make their own decisions. But Trump doesn't agree with that. Trump wants to side with opening the churches. So even when states are like, I don't want to do that, Trump's like, no, you could do that. So he's not abiding by conservative ideology, but yet again, this shows he's not really a conservative ideologue. But, Kaylee's defending it as well, and that she's not abiding by conservative principle here either. But that's neither here nor there. The question from the media was dumb because anybody who's asking these questions should know the answer to that. Kaylee didn't know the answer to that, and neither did the reporters, which is like, what are you guys doing? You don't know that basic fact? You don't know the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution? You don't know that Trump actually does have the right to say, yes, the churches can open even if the states say no? Then they keep asking, does the president want to reopen churches? Yeah, she said that like in the clearest way possible, and his statement is very clear. He wants to reopen churches. Why do you keep asking that question? This is what I mean. It's like they're trying to be adversarial, but the question is stupid, and then the thing they keep asking over and over is like, the answer is yes. Why do you keep asking that? It's like they're trying to be adversarial, but they're just not that smart, and they suck at it. And then the part that she said that pissed me off was when she said, like, in a snarky way, like, it's kind of crazy that we're in a room that desperately wants to see churches close. As if, like the claim that she's trying to make, the subtext here is like, I'm in a room of godless liberal media reporters. As if, like, there's some sort of conspiracy of, like, let's keep it closed because we're anti-religion. And then one of the guys made a good point when he was like, no, I'm religious. I go to church. I'm saying because it's not safe. That's what the evidence shows at this point in time. But she had to get her little, like, partisan stupid jab in of, like, you guys all want to see churches closed. It's like she's trying to make the case, like, I guess you're just anti-religion, aren't you? No, they're anti-pandemic spreading, Kaylee. That's what it is, if I'm saying your name properly. But then the final point is, and this is where the media should have gone with this, but they didn't go there because, again, I just don't think that the people in the room are that smart. But what's really going on here and why Trump is like, let's open the churches no matter what the states say, is that he's trying to shore up his base for 2020. Part of, his base, probably the strongest part of his base, is evangelical fundamentalist Christians. They love Trump. So this is him catering to them because they want to open the churches and they're not that concerned about the pandemic because they're not all that big on science. And so he's trying to cater to them and serve them. So Trump is shoring up his base for 2020. It's purely a political act. It's not based on the science. It's not based on the evidence. It's not based on the harm that will be done. And then also, Trump is just brainwashed from Fox News, because Fox News has recently done a bunch of stories about how they think churches should be open, and they do these weird comparisons of like, well, in this state, they opened up liquor stores, but not churches. And they're trying to do like the gotchas, like stupid gotcha politics in the middle of a pandemic. This is like the level of conversation that we're having. And Trump has seen those segments, and so he's like, yeah, I want to please Fox News and do what they're telling me to do. So he's calling for churches to be reopened. So everybody pisses me off in this. I think the media sucks because they're asking stupid questions, and questions they should know the answer to, questions they think are gotchas, but they're not gotchas. But then also I hate Kaylee because she had to do that little jab of like, basically implying like, you guys are just anti-religion. That's what you are, godless liberals. That was stupid. But then also Trump's decision here is stupid too, because like if you're going to make a list of all the things that are like, hey, these are the things where the coronavirus really spreads. Yeah, places of worship are going to be at the top of the list because it fits the definition perfectly. It's indoors, it's close quarters, people are right on top of each other, and that's how it's been spreading the most. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just annoyed by everybody in this. I could tell you this. I have people in my family who are religious, and they are, beginning to open churches. And the people who I know who are religious, you know what they've said? Hell no. I'd much rather, what they're doing is they're like watching services online, and they're like, are you kidding me? Like, that really is the number one place where if it's going to spread, it's going to spread in a situation like that. You don't want to go there. You don't want to be there. It's guaranteed that you're going to get a giant spike in cases specifically from opening up religious places. So it's just all the arguments they use are so bad, and this is like so deeply political and not based on public health, and it's just gross to see everything all around here. I think the media is terrible. I think Kaylee's terrible. I think the decision from Trump is terrible, and this it fits in perfectly with how 2020 is going.